Welcome back, Canonites. Halo Online was quite the enigma, wasn't it? It seemingly came out of nowhere, was for the PC, multiplayer only, and for the Russian market. Nevertheless, the Halo community got excited, for the most part, and the lore nerds such as myself were no exception. Back in 2015, before the game was cancelled, I had put together a video exploring the armors, weapons, and mods that would be featured in the game. For various reasons, I thought it might be a good time to revisit Halo Online and look at some of the lore that it contained. And I have to say, the lore that was present was fairly fascinating, at least to me. Halo Online was set on or around January 28, 2555, as revealed in the game's quote-unquote opening cinematic, for lack of a better word. The station serves as the setting for the game, with the Anvil Initiative being the framework for the gameplay. Attentive fans will know that the Anvil Initiative was a program that primarily had Spartan 4s and Swords of Sanghelios Sangheli training with one another in wargame simulations. But broader than that, in Halo Online, the program was an exchange of ideas and technology. Now, if it isn't clear at this point, Halo Online is no longer canon, as it was never officially released. However, certain aspects, broadly speaking, have survived in the canon via other sources. For example, the Anvil Initiative and Anvil Station are both still canon, as far as that there is an initiative where Spartans and Sangheli train together on a station designated as Anvil. However, certain specifics and the design of Anvil could change if they ever appear again in canon. Another aspect that has sort of survived is the exchange of technology, though no connections to the Anvil Initiative remain, at least as far as we know. Mostly appearing in Halo 5's lore, examples include things like Helioscrill, a Mjolnir variant created by a female Sangheli artisan. There are also armors like Anubis and Freebooter. Anubis' helmet description reads, "The Anubis helmet's enhanced sensor suite benefits from collaboration with allied Sangheli, though Oni's security paranoia has slowed technology integration." And from the Freebooter helmet, the Freebooter's seamless nano-fabricated armor panels hint at a Sangheli trade link. Though I think the most obvious to the casual Halo fan would be the Holoscope. The Holoscope is first seen on Halo 5's Covenant Carbine, but later found its way onto other weapons, notably human. The BR with Holoscope describes the technology as part of a joint species operation effort, and the DMR variant mentions that it's used by Sangheli on joint operation missions. So, a lot of interspecies technology trading going on by 2558, though again, no known relation to the Anvil Initiative. Before we move on though, I can't help but wonder if the presence of Covenant weapons and loadouts for Spartan Ops during Halo 4 was the result of interspecies cooperation. Just a thought. But moving on, as we dive into the lore surrounding the armors of Halo Online, we'll start to see a story of private industry gobbling up UNSC contracts, pumping out armor variants in something of a private contract arms race. As we go through all this lore, I'm going to try to highlight what remains canon, often due to mentions in other canon sources, and what was purely Halo Online and thus no longer canon. First up is Air Assault. Neftali hopes to leverage the Air Assault's all-around excellent performance and combat endurance to compete for the UNSC's lucrative Spartan Recruit armor contract. Air Assault is the frontrunner for the standard armor the future Spartans will be clad in. Now this I find interesting and a great place to start. Air Assault's production was taken over by the Neftali Contractor Corporation following the Covenant War, the original manufacturer, Ushaya Armory, having been destroyed during the fall of Reach. However, the really interesting part is that at the time this game was set, it was a frontrunner for what would become the default armor for Spartan recruits. What is strange though is that in both Halo Initiation and Spartan Assault, we actually see the recruit armor, though it could have been an early iteration before there was actually a formally designated recruit armor. Side note on Neftali, one of their facilities on Cedra, along with facilities owned by other companies, was tagged for investigation by Oni following the attack in Halo Nightfall on February 7, 2556. Tremor. Tremor armor removes several layers of Mjolnir's threat management and safety interlocks, allowing programmable grenades to be set to higher yields. Intended for defense operations, Spartan Training has instead tested Tremor's offensive utility. The interesting takeaway here is the idea of programmable grenades. As far as I'm aware, this would have been a new concept to Halo, though I could be wrong. Pioneer. Though further refinements are expected, Acheron Security has staked the reputation of its military sensors division on the Pioneer's advanced threat detection system. The Pioneer testbed is the first of a new series of post-war reconnaissance and combat expedition Mjolnir variants. Pioneer is another set that should sound familiar, as it eventually became one of the 8 armor sets and roles that Spartan 4s could specialize in. Yes, specializations are canon. The description here notes that it is a testbed for reconnaissance and combat expedition technology, areas where Pioneer class armor would eventually specialize. Pioneer armor was used during the initial exploration of Installation 03 and is commonly used for security with field teams, science detachments, and expeditionary groups. And to go off on a tangent, Spartan 4s wearing this armor are who should have been killed by the Didact in Halo Escalation 8, not fucking Black Team. And no, I will not let that go. Pioneer is manufactured by Acheron Security, a company that snatched up a number of armor systems, weapons, and vehicles previously manufactured by Chalyb's Defense Solutions. Chalyb's main production facilities were on Meridian, which was attacked in 2548 and glassed in 2551. Like many other wartime contractors, Chalyb's was an unfortunate victim of circumstance. Though given that Acheron specifically was nabbing up Chalyb's contracts, I can't help but wonder if there was some falling out within Chalyb's and a bunch of their former employees jumped to Acheron or something. Both Chalyb's and Acheron had facilities on Cedra that were tagged for ONI investigation following the February 7th attacks in 2556. Gunslinger. The Gunslinger design is unusual in that it is being built around the requirements of UEG police forces with a tweaked SmartLink system to increase handgun accuracy. Gunslinger is a testbed for potential Mjolnir technology in a broader market. Gunslinger is another interesting one. I love the idea of Mjolnir technology making its way into the broader market. Many advancements made by the Mjolnir program saw their way into various areas of the UNSC during the Covenant War, notably with advancements for the ODST BDU. Post-war, we saw stuff like the gel layer being used by employees of Liang Dortmund during the restoration of Meridian. Of course, the really scary part is that this technology was primarily being marketed towards police forces. Military state, anyone? Oracle. More an integrated experiment than a fully realized Mjolnir variant, the Oracle is testing a host of improvements in energy recuperation and power distribution subsystems for eventual inclusion in a standalone tactical package. Oracle is a testbed for modular system upgrades planned for the final Gen 2 suits. This one sounds like it would have eventually led to the development of the shielding tactical package and maybe even the recharge support upgrade from Halo 4, had it been canon.
Juggernaut.
The Juggernaut's design was thought lost during the fall of Reach. Recovered by a corporate scout team in 2553, the prototype helmets were paired with a Gen 2 prototype harness and shipped to Anvil Station for integration testing. Each Juggernaut helmet is dabbed with vitrified dirt from Reach as a reminder of what is at stake. Hoplite. Initially designed as an alternative to the spy armor used by Spartan 3 operatives, the notoriously secretive Watershed Group has unexpectedly revealed the Hoplite as a low-cost Mjolnir variant optimized for pairing with UNSC pistols. Hoplite armor lacks the bells and whistles of most Mjolnir variants, but it is easy to build and repair. This is one of those instances where I'm really sad at the decanonization of information. In current canon, Hoplite has only appeared in Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer and is described as implementing targeting and data link advancements to increase the accuracy and lethality for Spartan operators, specifically in regards to long-range heavy munitions such as the rocket launcher. The idea that Hoplite was originally developed as a spy armor alternative is actually pretty cool. Breaker. The Breaker is a no-nonsense Mjolnir variant being marketed as a tactical supremacy design, with increased endurance in the field, battle-tested components, and compatibility with a full range of tactical packages now available. Lethbridge Industrial has entered the design into the Spartan Branch armor competition. Lethbridge Industrial should sound pretty familiar. They've been seen in a lot of 343's Halo, a reference to Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, home to Dan Hamill or Green Skull of Ready Up Live, and Jeff Wood, a staff member of Ready Up Live. Lethbridge Industrial has their hands on a number of Spartan/Mjolnir specific projects and are also behind the construction of the Nova Austin Station, the setting for Skyline in Halo 4. Interestingly, there is a Canon Breaker armor in Halo 5, though it's manufactured by Ibrium Machine Complex and shares nothing in common with the Halo Online armor. Spectrum. All business and design, the Spectrum class Mjolnir armor is designed to get up close and personal with Covenant forces inside their starships and destroy them using high explosives and pinpoint gunfire. Cascade is aggressively marketing potential variants of the Spectrum design to police and paramilitary forces. Again, that idea of marketing Mjolnir technology to police. It does make sense though, given that the company that makes Spectrum, Cascade Stronghold Technologies, is based out of Cascade, a planet that saw a lot of conflict following the conclusion of the Covenant War. The Cascade company would later develop the Gen 2 variant of ODST armor. Calavbolg. The Calavbolg was designed and manufactured simply to demonstrate a new design for fast-switching Mjolnir muscle fibers, which allow for a quick return to combat posture after sprinting. Calavbolg was built by a secretive design group within Materials Group as a technology demonstrator. Fun fact, that name is the name of a legendary Irish sword of great power. Void Dancer. Hardened against the perils of exo-atmospheric operation and equipped with the latest threat assessment firmware, the Void Dancer is Acheron's entry for the ODST Generation After Next armor upgrade competition. Costly and temperamental, the Void Dancer is a risky gambit for Acheron in the UNSC's post-2552 procurement wars. Now I'll be honest, when I first heard this, I was not a big fan of the name of this armor. I'm still not. It sounds a little too close to Voidwalker, a warlock class from Destiny. However, the really interesting bit here is the ODST Generation After Next competition, which in current canon seems to have either never happened or the winning designs were basically just classic ODST armor or Helljumper or something. There's also the mention of this procurement war, a nod to all these companies taking over manufacturing of weapons, armor, vehicles, and other military assets following the Covenant War. While I'm sure something like this did happen in canon, it's certainly implied as much. I hope we eventually do get to explore those years following the Covenant War in a manner similar to Halo Online. Bastion. A product of IMC's secretive I/O design lab, small superconducting loops spaced throughout the Bastion sub-assemblies, and a more powerful fusion power pack give a substantial edge in fights that make use of tactical packages. A stripped-down version of the Bastion power system is being tested for use as a backpack-carried energy source for UNSC energy weapons. The real interesting part here, I think, is the mention of the backpack-powered energy weapon. It's interesting that the UNSC would need such a large power source, though, if there was an exchange with the Covenant, or rather the Swords of Sung Helios. And fun fact, Bastion armor was originally called Cyclops, a name that would eventually be used by Halo 5 armor. Commando. Though it has the rights to the design of the Chalubs Defense Solutions original Mark 5K armor, Naphtali has adopted the Commando name for a new design fitted with high-capacity energy banks for extended tactical package use. Marketed on the excellent reputation of the original Commando, the new design has yet to prove itself. I think the funny thing here is that Naphtali has the rights to such an excellent armor design with a legacy, but instead builds a new armor system from scratch and just uses the name. And once again, poor Chalubs. In canon, Naphtali would stick a little closer to the original design than we see in Halo Online, but funny enough, Chalubs would eventually reproduce their classic Commando armor, at least to a degree, under the designation Noble. Omni. A surprisingly effective composite of other Acheron security designs, the Omni is currently the company's cutting-edge Mjolnir suit and one of the few able to effectively use Material Group's Gen 2 prototype sensor suite. Petabytes of Mjolnir combat data have been carefully sifted through and analyzed by Acheron researchers to inform the Omni's design. Reaper. Considered an early work in progress by Hannibal's design team, the Reaper-class armor still requires substantial refactoring of its interface system and stabilization of the tactical package power feeds. Even this early version has drawn considerable praise from the testers at Anvil Station. Not much to talk about, but the manufacturer of this suit, Hannibal Weapon Systems, would eventually go on to produce the Mjolnir Recruit variant. And once again, we have an armor name that would be used by a Halo 5 armor. Widowmaker. High threat dynamic combat actuation is the Widowmaker's raison d'etre, most important purpose. With hardwired response protocols and quick-release mag clamps, the operator can quickly assess the situation and use the most appropriate weapon at hand. Testers at Anvil Station have noted that Widowmaker seems best suited for operation in human-built-up areas. Venator. Venator is Lethbridge Industrial's flagship Gen 2 prototype, incorporating high-performance power systems and hardwired CQB protocols. Apex Predator of the advanced Mjolnir prototypes being tested at Anvil Station. Venator first appeared in Halo 4, and nothing in the description here really conflicts with established canon. Venator gained prominence after it was used in the 2551 Covenant attack on Concord, where it demonstrated capacity for improving a user's hand-to-hand and single enemy combat capability. It would continue to focus on CQC optimization with the Gen 2 platform. Myrmillion. Taking form-defining function to an extreme, RKD's Myrmillion-class armor optimizes combat flexibility by using best-in-class tactical package components that require less power to charge. Rumors persist among Anvil Station personnel of Myrmillion units fitted with Hardlight shields. Myrmillion is an odd armor in terms of canon. Like anything else, its description and look for Halo Online are no longer canon, and though it hasn't appeared in any games or major Halo media, it is still a canon armor, one of the few, if not only, Halo Online originals to survive. Canonically, all we know is that the armor is owned and designed by RKD Group, incidentally the same group that designed Hayabusa, with production outsourced to Korolev Heavy Industries and the BIOS licensed from Applied Heuristics. The armor's name Myrmillion is a variation on Murmillo, a type of gladiator and one of the skirmisher ranks. Looking specifically to its Halo Online version, what really stood out at the time was the mention of Hardlight shields on Myrmillion units. I wonder if this was a reference to what looked like Hardlight armor on a number of Halo Online's armors, or if it meant something else, perhaps an early integration of Forerunner technology with Mjolnir. Not that any of this technically matters, mind you. Scepter. Though capable of utilizing the new modular technical package system, Lethbridge has also modified several Scepter suits to use the alternative plugin upgrade system championed by Materials Group. The Scepter belongs to a new family of Mjolnir-based armor systems. In Halo 4, we had both tactical packages and support upgrades. I can't help but wonder if this alternative plugin upgrade system was a reference to support upgrades. If that was the case, one can't help but wonder who developed tactical packages. Renegade. Ostensibly a strategic reconnaissance variant, users have noticed the Renegade's sensor suite is calibrated specifically to track other Mjolnir suits, particularly those featuring emissions cloaking. Oni seems particularly interested in the tester's combat performance against other Spartans. An Oni-favored Mjolnir variant designed to track cloaked Mjolnir suits? Sounds like this armor was intended to hint at some of Halo 5's events, perhaps even having direct ties to the systems used by Fireteam Osiris. Sadly, we'll probably never know. Flenser. The Flenser design is so new that the final fabrication took place on Anvil Station itself, conveniently bypassing several testing protocols in the process. It remains to be seen how stable the suit's new low-power muscle fiber is, as the first prototype burned itself out after a single Wargames match. Though its running endurance is top class, concerns remain about the Flenser's viability in the field. Inquisitor. Inquisitor-class armor does not utilize a fusion reactor, instead relying on an intact Forerunner Sentinel power cell. This allows for incredible flexibility in reallocating power to critical tactical packages. Custom-built Mjolnir frame with salvaged Forerunner power supply. Here we definitively see the integration of Forerunner technology. The closest we get to this in canon is often armor designs reverse engineered from Forerunner sources, such as Prefect or Reaper. Rampart. The Rampart armor system is one of several armor system prototypes from Materials Group which are tailored for operation in built-up areas such as urban areas and space habitats. The Rampart is particularly well suited for hunter-killer operations in cramped arcologies. High-threat combat actuation in urban environments is assumed to be the default battleground for Spartan 4 graduates. Infiltrator. Infiltrator-class armor is a new class of Mjolnir armor, created to subvert and penetrate security systems at heavily fortified sites which require on-site taps. To facilitate this, the suit has a faster recovery period after evading enemy patrols and sensors with Sprint. The technical abilities of the Infiltrator armor will be tested at Anvil Station. The cyber intrusion protocols are undergoing review on New Carthage. This is another armor we saw in Halo 4 and is, in fact, the armor favored by Spartan Naya Ray from Halo Escalation. In canon, the suit would be tested in the orbital battle clusters above New Carthage, the world where manufacturer Hannibal Weapon Systems is based. Spartans would be jettisoned from orbit and use re-entry packs to make their way to heavily protected weapon platforms, infiltrating them, accomplishing specific objectives, and escaping while avoiding detection. Halberd. Cloaked in secrecy, all users of the Halberd-class armor must sign binding non-disclosure agreements about its performance and the particulars of its new weapon maglock arrangement. Immersion guards the Halberd prototype suits with their own, heavily armed, private security. Strider. With its extended range sensors, the Strider was paired with prototype suits that lacked their full combat suite during the desperate defense of Concord in 2551. Now finalized, the suit is undergoing final testing at Anvil Station, closely related to the Venator class armor. Interestingly, though we have no images, the description implies that a full suit was designed for testing at Anvil. In Canon, only a helmet ever made it to production. In Halo 5, the Strider body is made up of various components from other suits, something not uncommon for helmets that were standalone in Halo 4. The description also mentions a relationship to Venator. In Canon, Strider has no known relationship to Venator, with both armors having different manufacturers, and Strider never having seen action on Concord during the 2551 invasion. And that's all the armor sets we had full descriptions for back in the day. People were able to find these and even mentions of other armors in the Halo Online website source code, but these were the only descriptions found, so diving into anything else doesn't really do us any good. As I said, a lot of the specifics are no longer canon, and any armor that hasn't been mentioned in other sources might as well have never existed. Which is sad because there are a lot of interesting implications, at least in my opinion. That said, certain aspects would survive. As already stated, the Anvil Initiative and Anvil Station both survived in some form, though we don't really have any details on either. And though we don't have any official procurement wars, the years following the Covenant War did see a number of new designs submitted to the UNSC Ordnance Commission, and the UNSC would hand out numerous armor contracts in those years. Further, several armor designs would change hands following the war, with mega corporations controlling numerous armor designs and systems. Ultimately, the lore that was lost wasn't that major, a lot of the concepts surviving in some manner, but I am sad to have seen it go. Hopefully someone can come along at some point and explore that time period again, fleshing it out once more. But that concludes the basic lore of Halo Online. Anything else beyond this, I think, wouldn't be of great discussional value. So, what do you think of what could have been? And how did you and how do you feel about Halo Online? In concept, at the very least. No offense to anyone, but please, keep it civil in the comments. And I also want to give a huge shout out to CIA391, an admin over on Halopedia, for his help. Halopedia is an invaluable resource for making these videos for myself and other content creators, and one I regularly use to check facts and sources. CIA really helped me out in checking certain facts for this video, so again, thank you. And thank you all for watching as always. Until next time, this has been Halo Canon. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, and if you really love me, hit that notification bell and leave a thumbs up. These both really help out the channel. I wouldn't be where I am now without your views and support, so once again, thank you. Keep on being awesome, Canonites.